Good morning, Danny Rocket here, walking around the north side of Chicago, a couple miles north of Wrigley Field, and the Cubs have won 7 straight. Man, oh man, I don't think they did that all last year. Maybe the top winning streak was 6. And they go for their 8th tonight. Good old Andre Dawson number. I'm for it. I can see a situation where the Cubs rattle off, I don't know, maybe the next 100 straight. Wouldn't that be nice? And they just waltz their way right to the World Series victory, and we win in Game 7 on Ronnie Woo's birthday, which is Halloween. Game 7 of the World Series this year, slated for Halloween. So get ready for that to be a spooky affair, especially if the Cubs are in it at Wrigley Field, because if you win the next 100 games, you obviously will be the best team in baseball and probably retain home field advantage the entire time. But yeah, I was there last night. The vibes were excellent. Certainly, the Cubs putting it together despite all the injuries they've had to their pitching staff specifically, and some slow starts from guys that you thought were going to be better than they have been. PCA, Michael Bush, but they're managing to win baseball games with contributions from lots of different guys. Now, I made a video the other day about how I don't really like Craig Counsell going to his butt wiping hand guys early in the game. That's the lefty righty matchup. If you don't know what I'm talking about, what hand you wipe your butt with is the most important thing in baseball, apparently, because in the 5th inning it happened again, and Ballesteros came into the game to take a walk, which I don't know, maybe Matt Shaw doesn't take that walk. We'll never know, but I know that Scott Kingery ended up playing third base and throwing the ball away a bunch because of it, because Shaw was at third and Ballesteros replaced him as the pinch hitter, and then Scott Kingery ran. And all of a sudden, 3 different players have been used for one slot in one move. And then later in the game, when the Phillies were trying to crawl back in, you maybe needed. We saw Scott Kingery take at bats, and he flew out with a bunch of runners on. Like if you still have, I don't know, Moises Ballesteros in there, I don't know, Matt Shaw in there, maybe things go better for you. But freaking Ballesteros doesn't play third base, and because anyway, it was a stupid move. But the Cubs won, so I can't complain about it without everybody saying, "Aren't you ever happy?" And the answer is no. The answer is no, because there's too much shit going on to actually be happy. If you were totally blissfully happy, whatever that even means, then you're just not paying attention to stuff, and you're probably not very intelligent, to be honest. There's people that are stupidly happy, obviously, are stupid. Um, and I say that to say this. This might be a follower cleanse kind of thing, but I'm 3 minutes in, so anybody that's still watching is probably into the things I have to say. But this whole Tucker Carlson thing, it bothers me. He's coming out, oh, we're to blame for this. This is our fault. We campaigned for that freaking orange maniac, and now he's threatening to explode civilizations. He's committing war crimes on a daily basis. The gas is more expensive. He's totally failed at everything he's tried to do, and it's our fault. And but this man is such an opportunist, slimy piece of crap. Rat-faced people tend to actually act like rats. It's like they grow into their nose or something like that. It's a thing. It's a thing. He's got that little fucking rat face, and people. Craig Counsell has that same face, rat face man, and every girl's crazy about a rat face man. Timothy Chalamet, rat faced. So it spread it around. And meanwhile, he's out there criticizing the opera, one of the finest forms of art we have. I've been to the opera many times, even recently, and I've had a great time every time. Was impressed and wowed. And Timothy Chalamet is a rat face. So is Craig Counsell. So is Tucker Carlson. Now, like a rat face, he's jumping off the sinking ship like a rat. And I'm not having it. He wants everybody to be like, oh, Tucker, look. Or like maybe the libs are supposed to celebrate the fact that we got one back or something. Like, no. Because you said nothing when they were shooting Americans in the street. You said nothing when they were rounding up kids, which they're still doing, and throwing them in concentration camps and torturing people, killing them. You know how many ICE detention deaths there's been? It is absolutely outrageous. And when this all comes out, and when the truth is known in the eventual, let me tell you, there's going to be a national shame, and Tucker Carlson is already part of it. And the only reason I'm bringing that up now is because I saw a former friend of mine last night at the Cubs game who's totally MAGA, who bought into it hook, line, and sinker. Joe Biden's destroying America. Everything's terrible, and it's all the black mayor's fault, and all this. He bought a hook, line, and sinker, and because of it, I took a fair amount of abuse at his hands due to my total outrage at where I think the country is heading with the mega psychopath fascists in charge. And because we differed on that so greatly, we could no longer be friends. And I know some of my friends have remained friends with him, and that's fine. Everybody can do what they want. But I saw him, and we were cordial, and even gave each other a little side bro hug kind of thing, because there's no reason to start any shit. But I think about the rats jumping off the ship at this point, and it's important to think about now it's on us again, the liberal people who are trying to make everything better for everybody else, and we just get thwarted at every freaking juncture. Now it's up to us yet once again to figure out how to not necessarily welcome some of these people back into the fold, but certainly have some sort of understanding about what you need personally to be able to even stomach them, and that's how I feel. It's like, because of the agenda that's so evil that's happening, I can't look at somebody who's supported all this shit and look at them as anything as having some sort of darkness in their heart that I really, frankly, don't want any part of, because it's going to thwart me and my efforts to make the world a better place. So, whether you were duped into all this stuff, whether you got cultified, I do feel bad for people. I do feel, that's the thing, is as a liberal person with a really almost to a fault empathetic nature, where I kind of feel people's pain in a way. I'm a performer, I'm an actor like this. I've been trained to pay attention to stuff like this, and when I think about it, I do feel bad. I feel empathetic, and I feel sympathy for people who maybe have destroyed their lives over this orange cult member shits his pants and is absolutely ruining our place in the world. He's ruining our economy. He's certainly stealing from all of us on a daily basis. And it's just like, and if you're waking up from that now, as much as I would love to welcome you back with open arms, like, something inside me just can't do it, because I can't trust people that have done that. And so for the Tucker Carlsons of the world and anybody else that was caught up in this shit that happens to be watching at the 8-minute mark here, I kind of say, like, it's not enough just to come back and be like, hey, boy, when that messed up. Yeah, it was super messed up. And you're not just allowed to just kind of come back into the fold and have everybody just accept you right away. And in many cases, I feel like you need to take actions that actually undo some of the damage that's already been done. Whether it's to publicly renounce some of your former ideas in a super dramatic way, or to actively work against what's happening and join the rest of us who this whole time have stressed ourselves the fuck out trying to fucking make change and protect our neighbors who are browner than me. And it's just absolutely outrageous what's still happening in this country. The torture prisons are open. The ICE raids are still happening. They don't make the news because freaking of the disaster in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz being closed, all that stuff. So all those people, that all the disastrous human rights violations that are and crimes against humanity that are going on every single day in this country against immigrants here legally and undocumented. A lot of people being caught up in this, Americans shot in the streets, like, that's all on you, bro. And so if you don't, and this is still going on, so if you're not going to turn around and actively fight against this stuff, and I need to see a Saul to Paul conversion for all these MFers, because to be honest, I don't trust Tucker Carlson. I don't trust anybody that supported this shit. Now, you have to do the work now. I'm not ready to just be like, oh, everything's fine, we'll just let bygones be bygones, because we're still in the middle of this shit. And even though I think the tide is turning, it hasn't turned enough, and it's not over yet. So we have a lot of work to do. We have 2.5 more years of this bullshit, and it's frankly all your guys' fault. So you got to turn around and turn back the clock for yourselves and for the whole country. Anyway, go Cubs.